Hey guys, and welcome back to another weekly fighting roundup. And so, if you are new around here, though, and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do need like video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this one, I'm going to start off with the boxing news. So, Aspinall is helping Fury for his Ngannou fight. Vargas will fight September 15th. Saunders may fight Richards next. Matias versus Ergashev. The purse bids have been postponed. McBones is set to represent Ghana in the Paris 2024 Olympics. Golden Boy targets Ortiz Jr.'s return in December. Will that be against Danny Onis? I don't know. But will it actually go ahead? I don't know. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Vicioli has joined Matchroom. Zhu is set to fight Mendoza. Baumgartner has had adverse drug findings found against her. Another person adding to the list. It seems like every week now we're getting a new person. That's 2 weeks back to back in a row now, and things aren't looking good in that aspect. And I mean, I've been about this week talking to people about it, and everybody's kind of resounding answer is that it's going to keep happening more, the more money being spent onto it, because there just truly isn't really that kind of trust there that there's that many clean athletes, or at least as many as what we think. And it is a shame. I think everybody has to have their ability to be proven that they're not guilty, but it is a real shame at the moment. And if you are wanting to see any of the interviews I've done from this week, head over to the British Boxing TV, BBTV, YouTube channel / Instagram, and I've been active over there, so go make sure to check them out. Thank you very much. Moving on. So Lopez may fight Ramirez next. Sokpapi is in talks with Blueface for a fight. Garcia will fight Resendiz September 30th. Denny is set to fight Signani September 30th. Ben has now been faced with an appeal over his positive drug test by UKAD. So I mean, of course, he's not very happy about it. It means that he's not going to be fighting in the UK anytime soon. It seems like he might be having a fight out in America for the time being, but it seems like this thing's never ending. And will we ever find out a true answer? I doubt it, but we've got to just keep going, I suppose. Gassiev is set to fight Wallin September 30th. Ramirez is set to fight Smith Jr. October 7th. Well, he is now, because that got announced today. That is a fight which I do like. It's one which I feel like is necessary for both fighters. Both fighters are coming off defeat. Smith Jr. is a lot more dominant and a lot bigger of a defeat, but Ramirez's defeat, that was also very convincing as well, to be honest. And so I feel like necessary fight for both. Good to see them both getting back in the ring, and hopefully it'll be a good fight. Rocha is set to fight Santian October 21st. Mayer will fight Bortot September 2nd. Weyand has joined Orseman. Keelia and Brennan will fight September 16th. Fusitu versus Lutele. Mazoudier versus Hussein. Lantry versus Jackson 2. They will all fight August 23rd. Good to see Mazoudier back fighting. Of course, we've had him on the channel a little while ago now. Janibek is set to fight Gualtieri October 14th. Amayuf will fight Penzes August 26th. Carty will fight September 16th. Cameron will fight October 6th. Cronin will fight McCarthy September 16th. McCormack versus Donegan. O'Connor and Dilmaghani will fight September 16th. Crawford wants the winner of Canelo vs Charlo. He said that on the Joe Rogan podcast. That would be, of course, an amazingly good scrap, but of course means Crawford moving up a couple of weight divisions, and it might be a bit too much to ask. I don't know. If he is pound for pound the best, then you never know, to be completely honest. It's good to see that he's wanting these just pound for pound best fights now, and it's what boxing needs. Prograis versus Haney isn't finalised yet and is still in talks at the moment. Tete has received a 4-year ban for his positive drugs test. It seems like that's the only resounding one with an actual ban at the moment. Romero has got until Monday to prove his injury for his purse bids versus Davis. Hopefully that does. I suppose it shows that it's not too bad. Hopefully it's not a bad injury, because that's a fight which I do want to see, and I feel like O'Hara deserves that fight now, definitely. WBC have cancelled Ruiz versus Wilder final eliminator. Probably means that Wilder won't be fighting before the Anthony Joshua fight, well, the possible Anthony Joshua fight. It is a shame, but I'm not surprised, is what I will say. Spence Jr. is waiting on his rematch clause versus Crawford. Seems like he's going to be waiting until one of the last days possible to actually use that clause. Not entirely sure why, but it's what he said he wants to do. Kadura won via points versus Palacios. Ali won via points versus Stoyanov. Khan won via points versus Trana. Chapman won via unanimous decision versus Furtado to remain WBC International Featherweight Champion. Garner won via TKO round 3 versus Antunes to become WBC International Super Featherweight Champion. Collins won via KO in round 1 versus Hamza to remain British and Commonwealth Featherweight Champion. McCann drew versus Baluta. That was a great scrap, but showed weaknesses in both their games. Showed weaknesses in McCann's game where maybe they haven't been shown before, but that's the whole point of the test. It is to improve from, is to learn from, and where does Liam Davis go from next? I don't really know. I know that was set up next, really, but possible international opponent wouldn't surprise me if it's one of the Mexicans around in that division. But you're always going to have a tough fight versus a Mexican, and that could be a fight which could stop things in that division, British-wise, if Davis did end up getting and losing against one of the Mexicans. But either way, that's further along down the line. Ali won via TKO round 3 versus Rodriguez. Khan won via points versus Jackson. Suleiman won via TKO round 1 versus Gonks. Bowen won via KO in round 2 versus Barron. Majid won via unanimous decision versus Fursula. Won via points versus Fursula. Dakers won via unanimous decision versus Thompson. Flynn drew versus Baker. Walker won via stoppage in round 8 versus Pattinson. That was an amazing fight. Great card, to be honest. And I was there all fight week, so like I said, interviews over on BBTV. Yafai won via TKO round 1 versus Frank to remain WBC International Flyweight Champion. It was a shame to see, because I'm a fan of Tommy Frank. He's a nice person. Had him on this channel, had him on the BBTV channel the other day. But Yafai showed his levels, showed he's above British level by far. Seemingly he's going to get a huge fight now. Later on I talk about an opponent who he could fight and has called him out, but it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from next. Scotney is set to fight September 30th. Davis has called out Ortiz. Cambosis Jr. has called out Lomachenko. Quadras has called out Yafai. That's who I was on about. Quadras could be a great fight. They talk about Rung Vasai. Lots of good fights there, in my opinion. Ex-champion, world champion would be definitely a good route to go down. Possibly too early for Yafai. Not really by the way he's going, but it was impressive, and I'm sure he'll only get big fights from now on. Rosado Ortiz won via TKO in round 2 versus Dixon. Ingram won via unanimous decision versus Lekea. Vega won via KO in round 1 versus Aguilar. Medina won via TKO in round 3 versus Torres. Smith won via majority decision versus Rosa. Flores won via majority decision versus Williams. Lescaille won via unanimous decision versus Noriega. Bravo won via unanimous decision versus Madeira. And that is all the boxing news. Moving on now to the MMA news. So Holland will fight Madalena September 16th. Katona won via decision versus Gibson. Holobar won via submission round 2 versus Hubbard. Rodriguez won via KO in round 1 versus Tui Lulin. Tavares won via decision versus Weidman. Vera won via decision versus Munoz. Bautista won via decision versus Blackshear. Gary won via decision versus Magny. That was a dominant fight. One which Gary possibly could have got Magny out of there. Gary's an interesting person. His build-up was a bit interesting. Not sure too much how much of a fan. I don't hate it, don't love it. A lot of people either hate it or do love it. I don't mind it, but it's just, it sells a fight, but isn't like not necessary really against these opponents. And I don't know, it's whatever. Good performance though. Zhang won via decision versus Lemos to remain UFC strawweight champion. That was a very impressive performance by Zhang. Had got a little bit of trouble early on, but the very, very impressive knees on the ground, great groundwork, and really showed her dominance. Even on the stand-in, she dropped Lemos, I believe, a couple of times, and it was a very impressive fight and showed her levels and showed the levels to the top of the game, and she is at the top of the game at the moment, and every fight with her is just an entertaining fight, and it's amazing, and one of my favourite, if not my favourite, women's fighter around at the moment. O'Malley won via KO in round 2 versus Sterling to become UFC bantamweight champion. That was also a very good fight as well. I mean, realistically, just a very good performance and shot by O'Malley. It was a very nice, elusive, like I said in my prediction, he's elusive, he's got good straight shots, and he delivered with one of them good straight shots. The slip to then counter shot was very impressive, one which you don't always necessarily see loads in the UFC, see it more in boxing, but it was a boxing move, it was impressive. He replicated it well and used it well, and it was a good performance and possibly a bit of an early stoppage, but I felt like he was going to win at that point anyway. It was a bit of a shame to see Sterling lose the way it was. I got that prediction wrong. I thought Sterling would win. I got the Wei Li one right, but it was pretty funny what he was having to say. Press conference was quite entertaining. His video on Instagram was very entertaining as well, and he's just an entertaining champion, and be interesting to see how long his reign remains. The Sugar Show, and seemingly he'll be fighting probably Vera next for a rematch for that, and that'll be a good fight as well. And McBroom has been offered a fight in BKFC for October. And yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.